Here we are with another Trathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel. Now, I know most of you are either gearing up for 70.3 Worlds or deep into the off season right now, but we are not taking a break because we want to chat all the race results from this weekend that definitely affect the Ironman Pro Series. And we're going to save our 70.3 predictions until we have a special guest next week, Coach David Tilbury-Davis, to help us break it all down. But this week, we'll jump into the pro rankings. We've got our usual social media and what the app post of the week. And we will chat about what's going on and especially where in the world Fede is these days. So let's jump into it and we'll get started with you, Fede. The view looks a little different than normal. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, hey guys. I'm in New Zealand at the moment, training for 70.3 Worlds. And right now it's 3 in the afternoon. And just went back from a nice bike ride, 2-hour ride with a few efforts to activate the legs. And training's been going well. I did a lake swim yesterday, so shoulders feel good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now I'm in Wanaka, so on the South Island in New Zealand. I'll be going over Taupo next week to get a little bit of training rides on the actual course. And to meet with the rest of the Mona team. So exciting days ahead. And just enjoying life and putting a lot of sunblock because the sun is strong.
Definitely.
Climate-wise, where you are now and Taupo, pretty similar?
Well, right now here in Wanaka, it's a bit more cold and less humid because of, the South Island is a bit more dry. Not a lot of vegetation, so a lot of mountains. If you're familiar with The Lord of the Rings, the South Island is where they filmed all those epic shots with the mountains and snow and all of that. Yeah, it's a lot more windy. So today was windy on the ride. I felt like I was back in Kona pushing against the wind on the TT bike, and getting used to the road surface, which is chip seal, and it feels bumpy all the time. So for our listeners that are not used to riding in this type of pavement, just be sure that you make sure that your bike is, everything's tightened. Every single bolt is to the torque that it needs to be, because it's so bumpy that you can lose a couple of bolts here and there if you're not on top of your bike.
Yeah, definitely a good tip, especially with so many people traveling over and a few self mechanics kind of building their bikes up after the travel. A good reminder, just to make sure and tight and have your water locked in too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, today I lost one. I lost my rear water bottle. Like 20 minutes into the ride, I felt a splash on my leg and I was like, come on. At first
Definitely time to get some of those elastic bands, hold them in place at least for a little while.
Better than the sealant, I would imagine, though. At least.
Less of a pain there. Awesome. Well, how are you feeling kind of after the travel? How's the jet lag? Where's the body at? Well, Josh, let's jump in with you. How are things going these days and training and life and all that fun stuff?
Enjoying being a non-runner right now. My Achilles are definitely getting better, but I've now become a swimmer. And for me, it's been a huge jump this last couple of weeks. Whereas now I'm doing, I think before I was probably a good week was K to 6K, 7K, like that would be a normal week. And now every week's over 10K and doing 3,500, 3,600 yards and long endurance swims just to keep up my fitness and also build strength in the area that I need it the most while we're working in the off season here. So I actually can feel it and then can already tell the difference and can feel that when I do get in a groove, I'm able to actually just kind of glide and not use as much energy and going longer distances to like warm up and then get into a lot of drill work and then specific type main sets and stuff. So it's been a lot of time in the pool, but it's been fun. And at the same time, working on the bike. So it's bike and strength. And I've actually enjoyed this last couple of weeks, even though I missed the running part and hate my Garmin watch telling me that I'm unproductive and everything else that is
the worst.
Which is hilarious because I don't get credit for any of the biking I do either, because it goes from Training Peaks and it's like if I'm not using my actual watch indoors on a trainer, you're not getting that either. So it's like the double whammy right now with no running, no bike credit on the Garmin. The Garmin hates me, but I know what I'm doing and I know the work that's being done. And I'm really enjoying Training Peaks virtual life and that world. It just makes everything so easy. Literally, it's your workout's there. I don't have to download it and upload it into Zwift. And it's like, I go in, it's like today's workout, boom, click, let's go. And it's really neat. Not many bugs in it. I had one day where I was offline. So I had to download the fit file, but it was still there, even though it didn't automatically go back into Training Peaks. Other than that, just trying to get stronger and get fitter, lose a little bit of the weight I've put on at Thanksgiving time and by not running. So starting to dial all that stuff back in.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Even with whenever I'm running virtually too, I always have my Garmin going as well, recording it on there and use that for everything. I kind of do it the opposite way. I don't have any of the virtual worlds connected to my Training Peaks. It all just goes through my Garmin. So that's why you'll see my Instagram stories. It's always 0 miles because I'm like, I just care about the watch.
Right off the watch,
I don't care how far I'm going.
I should start doing, because I there's a website that I use, like if I do a Peloton ride or something doesn't work, I always have like a second backup in the running world. So I might as well do it in the biking world too, where you go to a website and it actually merges the files and you can select and choose like, all right, I'll take the heart rate from this one, but then take all the data from everything else to like treadmill runs and things like that. So it actually does work out well. So I should probably do that on the bike and just take that extra step and make my Garmin happier.
Yeah, I know, just for like analytical heads where it's like, can't see that unproductive. It just bugs you not to get those updates or have it count for things.
Yeah, unproductive. I was like, yeah, this is too good. This has to be a story. I'm like, yep, here's me being unproductive again.
I just swimming 10K a week and doing some bike riding. Totally unproductive.
And then you think like, yeah, 10K a week for me is a lot. And it's like, that's like a normal day for these guys. It's unbelievable to think about that too. Like to feel how I felt after 3,600 and swimming 135s, 145, somewhere in that range. Like that's a lot of time at the pool and it's 30 minutes away. It's a long day to get there and that type of stuff. But I just know the consistent piece is what I'm going to stick to on this one. And even if I have to cut a swim short, like I did tonight, I didn't get there as early as I wanted to. I was the last one in the pool and they closed the facility, but I got in most of my swim and or at least got in portions of each level of the workout.
That's good. Always better to get in what you can. I've got some athletes I coach where if they can't get in the full distance, half the time they'll just decide to do nothing. It's like, no, just do what you can. Something is better than nothing. Get a little bit of that feel for the water and at least get some of the work in and keep some of that technique.
Yeah, and that's what I did tonight. I knew, and I had texted my coach, like, do you want me to swap and do the bike, or do you want me to go and get some of it? And she's like, no, go get some of it. We've got plenty of swimming on the calendar, so go get some of it in. And so I just, right off the bat, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to cut everything in half so I can get through the workout and not get through the drills and never get to the main set. So I just literally just cut everything in half, and it worked out well that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you? Up in the freezing cold?
It has been so much snow. Last week was all minus 20 temperatures, and that was chilly. But I've been doing the opposite in the training indoors with a lot of heat work right now, which is it's partially because potentially my race could be hot, but more the heat work has been around just gaining fitness quicker, essentially with kind of a shorter timeline going into an Ironman than I usually have. I've been doing a lot of just kind of grindy work. So overdressing on the bike, just did an overdressed run, which let me tell you this. I had a run on the weekend where I learned your treadmill can get so sweaty that you start slipping off and have to grab trail shoes or else you're not going to make the end of the run. Had this crazy run where sometimes I give my coach kind of a sideways look of, why are we doing this? But it's definitely filled up some strength. So the run was 2 miles at 0% grade, just nice and comfortable. And then, or the rest of the run, it was keep the grades, alternating them between 10 to 15% grade with the last 2 minutes of each mile back at 0%. And do this all while overdressed with no fan. I was like, what?
I showed that story to my wife, and I think she read the first couple intervals. She's like, yep, nope, take that away. Nope. That was disgusting.
Oh my goodness. I was sweating so much, literally, that I had to stop in the last 15 minutes to like wipe down my treadmill and change to trail shoes because I was just like slipping and sliding everywhere. So that was an interesting one. And then the rest of the work has been kind of actually some of my favorite workouts, just grindy bike workouts where it's like 10 minutes zone 2, 5-minute zone 3 muscle endurance work, 50 to 70 RPM, and just going long with that. Again, overdressed, no fan. And that kind of work I just absolutely love. Like, it's been so much fun to go from trying to get faster with this short distance and duathlon to the work that I just love. Grindy and long is definitely my sweet spot. So that makes it fun. And just kind of switching it up and seeing how the body responds to it. Because at the end of the day, Ironman is really all about endurance and just who slows down the least. And these will definitely be some workouts that'll help me not break down. Because if I can survive these, then I'm pretty sure I'll survive anything out on course at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty dialed in already early on in this training. And for you, that's huge because you're coming from a non-triathlon season, really. And to jump right back into it to a full distance race is quite insane for most people. But that's awesome that it's your body's absorbing it, it sounds like.
That's the fun part. And definitely a lot of that is life stress and stuff too. Set myself up so that I do have a little less work kind of thing, more of a normal workload instead of some crazy amounts over the summer. And this is definitely the quieter time because most of what I do is in endurance sports between coaching and some marketing work there. So taking advantage of the slower time of year to actually recover and chill a little bit between sessions instead of the cramming them in last minute late at night. So that helps a ton. Just did my first swim over 3K and it felt like I was swimming through molasses by the end. That definitely, the swim paces weren't much slower than what they were before for like the first few swims. But once that fatigue starts to mount, all of a sudden it feels like I'm just swimming through solids by the end of them. Definitely need to build up that endurance again.
It takes some time for sure. And I think that as long as you stay consistent, and you will, because it's in order to get through a full Ironman swim, it's a different story and probably a non-wetsuit one on top of that. So just that consistency can get you to the bike without any salt water. You should be all right.
Yeah, that's definitely not my favorite. But let's dive into a couple people who, once again, are going a little bit faster than we are in the training and racing. We had an Ironman 70.3 race this weekend that typically we probably wouldn't be talking much about, but because it's part of the Ironman Pro Series, it actually had some implications for some big paychecks at the end of the day. So, Fede, why don't you tell us what went down on the race?
Yeah, sorry for the little communication issue, but we had 70.3 Western Australia, and like we were talking before the podcast, it was a very weird race because it was a full race for the age groups and the 70.3 for the pros because, like Jenna just mentioned, all the implications for the pro ranking of the pro series and everything. And starting with the girls, we had a battle for first place between Marta Sanchez from Spain and Anna Bergsten from Sweden, and just 1 minute and 10 seconds separating the two of them. Marta just swam very good, rode a 2:12, so she was definitely moving, but and ran out 1:23. But Anna, she lost quite a lot of time on the swim. She swam nearly in 32 minutes, so that's where all the time lost because she ran faster than Marta and rode faster than Marta. So just goes to show how important the swim is, especially on the pros. And especially over 70.3, starting to show that 70.3s and the T100 races are a bit more similar dynamic to the Olympic distance, where you need to be right up front to be able to, to win or to podium, unless you're like an Uber biker or like an amazing runner like Jason West, or you can ride a bike like Lionel Sanders, and your day is done if you're not right in front of the group. Coming in third, we had Lotte Wilms from the Netherlands, which she's always consistent, always solid. It seems like she's always top 5 when she has a bad race. So very, very impressive racing from her. Else Visser, another Cam Worth sort of character. She's in every start line, and she's always top 10 as well, finishing 6th place. Hannah Berry, who I chose for the win, came in 7th, but probably was just like a taper race for 70.3 World. So very, very impressive racing from the girls. Also, like, just to note, Teresa Adam from New Zealand coming in 10th place. She's been like an on and off character. She won a couple of Ironman New Zealands back in the day. and then she struggled with injuries, and then she just sort of disappeared, and then made like a little bit of a comeback. But just it's always a mystery with Teresa, because she's not very very open when it comes to sharing her racing and everything on social media, so it's a bit hard to get a grasp on her. So, but yeah, very, very impressive racing from the girls.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely had a few implications for the for the Ironman Pro Series overall. A number of those had got some extra points, like Maya Stage Nielsen. She moved up to third here, and she got 11th, replacing one of her previous races. So she's getting close to the top of the rankings. We also had Lottie Wilms with her third. She moved up too. So we're definitely seeing some movement throughout this series. Few of the women still have one more race that they can add to their point selection, which will be 70.3 Worlds. So I think it was smart for a lot of these women just to use this almost as a backup, like worst case scenario, if you're not able to start 70.3 Worlds or something goes wrong in there, at least you snag a couple points here to move up instead of, I guess, banking 0.3 Worlds. And that's going to be a much more competitive race, right? What do you guys think?
I mean, for those, the two that you just mentioned too, Lottie and Hannah Berry, along with Kat, they still have that third, or they have that last 70.3 that they can throw down. So that's major points and open points. You're not replacing points. So that could be, my guess is your top three in the Pro Series.
Right.
Lottie and Hannah both show up and have recovered well from Western Australia, which most likely they will have. Then it'll be Kat, Lottie, and Hannah 1, 2, 3 in the Pro Series standings would be my guess.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy now with kind of the time difference? Like Kat just has to have a decent day kind of out there. I think it's something she has like 30 minutes she can lose overall in 70.3 and kind of top the rankings because she still has that open spot. And with the bonus points for being a 70.3 World Championships, it's hard to see going past her. So we definitely have the podium is still open to play for, but in the top 10. But yeah, it's definitely hard not to see Kat getting it.
What are the max points for the winner on the World 70.3 Worlds? Is it 4?
I want to say 3,000, but I'm not sure. I think it's 3,000, but I could be wrong there.
Should be closer to 4, yeah.
Because that means Jackie's locked in if it comes down to Lottie and Hannah. Like Hannah can't catch Jackie. Lottie can. So Jackie would end up in third if that's the case, if it is 3,000.
Yeah, definitely is going to shake things up for sure.
But still, there's still a ton of money for Hannah Berry to make from 7th up to 4th if that's
right.
like worst case scenario.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so 3,000 for the 70.3 World Champs versus the 2,500 for all the other 70.3s in there.
Mm.
So definitely some calculations to be done. And like I said, we'll dive into a lot of this, kind of the expectations going to next week when we have David Tilbury-Davis on. But man, there's going to be some math going on. What I hope is during the race that the commentators actually have some like spreadsheets and calculations going on and tell us kind of how it's going through the race. What do you guys think? What are the odds that Ironman will have some updates and live standings on the points rankings?
Well, I mean, they should have PTN or Tri Rating or somebody else like on the sidelines to help them out.
Just like, here's what's going on.
The people that are doing all the work for them, anyways.
Yeah. So I agree. Like, they got that going at the grand final, and that was fun to see. Like virtual rankings, kind of as it stands right now. Here's how everything breaks down. So that'd be cool to see, and just give them something else to talk about, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope, right? But I think they are going to stick to what they do, and that is a very poor broadcast. But I mean, it's a great opportunity for them. Like if they actually pull it off, it's a great opportunity for, I mean, both marketing standpoint and to give the audience what they want and what they deserve. Because, it'll be exciting actually to know the races within the race and who's behind who. That just adds another element of, for the audience actually to be glued to the transmission. But I think they're just gonna stick to the motorbike and talking about how many gels they take and talking about aerodynamics that they do not understand. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, the classic.
Do you think they'll actually know the athletes though? Because
oh my goodness,
Western Australia was one of the worst broadcasts I've watched all year. I mean, it was like oh man, we have another Pro Series race that we have to cover, and it just got thrown in there on them, and I was like, what are you talking about? We've been talking about this forever, like all year long. We're like, there's one more race that these people are lining up, and is Patrick doing it? And they didn't even know who was who, and it was like, oh my god, like it's not that hard to know what kits people have and what they look like, because they're not that similar once you look at them.
Yeah.
It was that was a hard broadcast to watch.
I couldn't make it through. Like, I'm a super fan and I couldn't make it through it. Just, that's frustrating to see, because there's so much potential and they have so much that they could talk about. And anyways, let's jump into the men's side of things. There was definitely a big move in the Pro Series rankings this weekend after the men's race.
Yeah, it was a very unpredictable podium, so to speak. I mean, just one guy that we knew he was a contender for the win ended up in the podium, but no disrespect to the rest of the athletes, but we didn't pick them. And in the first place from Italy, Gregory Barnaby running a 1:12. Second place from South Africa, Jamie Riddle. And in third place, Josh's favorite triathlete, Mark Dubrick, coming in third place with a sub 2 hour bike, and then a blazing fast 1:14 run, put him on third place. Jake Berthwiesel, who I thought was going to run away from everyone, he didn't, and he finished in fifth place. Ben Hamilton from New Zealand coming in sixth place. Christian Guggenhaug, eighth place. The other Dane, Matthias Pedersen, coming in 11th. Yeah, it was a bit of a shakeout. Just a lot of points were, distributed to different athletes, so that's good. And I don't know the point situation right now between them, but I think some of them do have 70.3 world still to consider for their last race as well.
Yeah, it was a huge shakeup in terms of the Pro Series, but even that race, I mean, the only thing that kept me glued to the broadcast was the men's bike, especially. It was really, really dynamic, and there was a long train of maybe 6 or 7 of them for most of the bike ride. And they had to go in. It was mostly flat, and it was a pretty fast bike. I think the top 6 or 7 guys all went sub 2. And they were all pretty tight knit for a while, where there was a point where I think it was Dubrick or somebody from the back, Robert Callan, I think, had to pass all 7. And if they're 12, 15 meters apart and doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's a lot of matches to burn. And you could see Robert burned some matches when it got to the run, but I mean, he pushed the front of the bike, and then people tried to lock in on him. So then when some of the guys like Dubrick and others started to pass later on, they were able to slot in after 2 guys instead of going through the whole row, because they started to break up a little bit. So the bike was really cool. And I thought my boy Mark had a heck of a ride, and you can see he's definitely getting more dialed in on the bike and being more strategic on the bike. And I think as he gets some fitness back in his run legs, where that injury was this year, you'll start to see what we saw last year from him. And it was a good race. And then Gregory Barnaby just kind of took off on the run, and early on took the lead and never looked back. And I thought the kid Riddle was going to hold on for a little bit. And then it was like, can he even hold on for the podium? Can he even hold on for the podium? Because he started to bunk real hard. That's what you get when you put a 10K runner in a half marathon and they think they can full send it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Kudos to him for holding on to second. And Dubrick was right there. He kept looking over his shoulder on the carpet, and Mark was coming. But it was a good race on the men's side for sure. Much tighter than the women's side.
Yeah, and that definitely shakes up the rankings. With now Gregory Barnaby is on top of the Pro Tri Series rankings, bumping down Patrick Lange, who was hoping, I'm sure, he wouldn't win and that he'd be able to hold on to that top spot, but he took the gamble for the difference in prize money, that drops him down from $200,000 to $130,000 if he hangs on to a second place in the pro rankings. And with the way the points are going with Matthew Marquardt still having another spot, he could even bump down to third, which would be $85,000. So definitely had some implications for the Pro Series rankings. So the main contenders are still Gregory Barnaby for the win, but then Matthew Marquardt still has another 70.3 race that he can get some points from. And with the bonus points from 70.3 Worlds, he has a shot of kind of bumping into that first place. But some rough calculations from Slow Twitch, so don't yell at me if these are wrong, but Both of them would be starting on Taupo with a bit of a winner takes all if they're less than 8 minutes and 43 seconds behind the winner. So that's the thing where, with that kind of field that's in Taupo, that could be a big challenge. Like we got the Hidden Wilds, Leo Bergers, like there are some big names coming to Taupo that could absolutely run away with it in comparison to these guys. Like these guys are solid, but there are some very fast people in the front end. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes up after that, because it could definitely make a big difference when it comes to the point rankings. Like how tough must it be kind of being Gregory Barnaby or Matthew Marquardt, where you're just like, yeah, we have a shot at this win, but need to have an absolutely epic day at 70.3 Worlds against some of these guys.
Well, if I'm Barnaby, I'm kind of okay. I like it because I can have a bad day and still finish first in the Pro Series. So like I think he's kind of in the driver's seat. It's Matthew Marquardt that has the opportunity to have a huge jump in his paycheck. And like you said, that's not just as easy as it sounds either. On a typical like 70.3, you could throw Marquardt in there and he's going to have a good day and get some points. This is a different beast. This is literally the best 70.3 guys in the world, all coming to New Zealand and trying to kick butt for one race, not an entire series. And the Gregory Barnabys and the Matthew Marquardts are Ironman distance racers.
Yeah, and they're racing against guys they don't usually race against, because it's a lot of the short course athletes that are coming up that will really kind of, we think, can contend for this. They haven't had the chance to size up their competition or race against them yet either.
Yeah, I agree. And Mana's own Nick Thompson, who still has a race. Nick Thompson, Braden Curry, there's a couple guys in the 12-13 range in the rankings that still have a 70.3 to throw on their top 5 as well. So they're looking to jump in the top 10, and we all know how much money you're going to start making when you get into that top 10 as well.
Yeah, absolutely makes a big difference. So I think, like I said, we'll talk more about 70.3 Worlds next week, but I think we're going to see some epic implosions at 70.3 Worlds with a bunch of people going full send, risk it to actually take that win or get move up within the series. Just know there's a little more motivation. It's not just one race. It's a lot more money on the line at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a bit.
Well, we'll have some fun diving into all of that and geeking out on it next week. But let's jump into some of our usual segments here. We'll get started with social media post of the week. Josh, we were kind of fighting for this one, whether it should be the social media or what the app of the week, because it was just epic all around. What do you got for us?
So, and I've actually thought of a couple other things I want to talk about. We'll save it for Trathlon T later. But we decided the social media post of the week would be to direct everyone towards the Ultraman World Championship page, which is UMWC Hawaii on Instagram. And if you didn't see it, they just held that on Kona. Bob Babbitt was kind of reporting on it throughout the 3-day race, which starts with a 10K swim. And on the first day, start with the swim, and then you do part of the bike that first day too, and then you do an entire 170 miles on the day 2, and then run a double marathon to finish it all out. So it's a total of 321.4 miles over 3 days, and male and female all competing against each other. And for the first time ever, the top 2, and even though we're both females on the win. So really awesome to see some of the performances, and Annette, or Jen Annette and Michelle Vesterby on the female side, 2 names that a lot of people are pretty familiar with. Really neck and neck for a lot of the race, and back and forth within like 5-10 minutes of each other going into the run. And then Jen Annette ran, I think it was like a 5:30, 5:45 or something, like something crazy. No, 6:46, I think was the total, like 3:20 marathons after all of that on Kona. So, and people who've done the descent from Hobby down the Queen K, they actually had to run it. So add that to your Kona days.
Man, just absolutely at the first time a woman has won the overall in there, and to have 2 women beat it is just absolutely epic. It was so cool to see, and 2 mums racing it too. It just goes to show the longer the races go, we're seeing this more and more, the longer the races go, the better kind of women perform overall. Which is something that is full physiologically.
And I mean, adding on that, Jenna, adding on that, Jenna, it seems like women tend to pace themselves better, but also we it's a fact that after an athlete gives birth, they are super resilient and all of a sudden they tend to go faster as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I found after pregnancy and stuff, just the what happens while you're pregnant is your lung capacity increases and your blood volume increases. And there's some, I guess, thoughts that if you maintain the training afterwards or stay on top of the training, you maintain some of those gains. You can't hold on to all of it because your body's not supporting two people anymore, but it seems everything feels just a little bit easier. You get a little bit more oxygen and kind of use some of that. If you completely shut it down during pregnancy and afterwards and stuff, you don't get the same benefit, but there's some cool stuff that happens to your body that can be beneficial there. But the biggest thing with women in these ultra endurance events is we're naturally more predisposed to burning kind of fat for fuel. Again, it also depends kind of where you are in your cycle, how predominant that is and how much fat you're burning versus carbs, but there's definitely the predisposition there. And on top of it, just having a smaller frame and smaller body means that there's less pounding, less muscle weight in there, so you don't break down quite as much either. So the longer these races go, the better we're just kind of set up for it. And I think for so long women hadn't been involved in these ultra endurance events, and it's just starting to catch up and kind of reach some of that potential. I think we're going to see a lot more of it kind of at that ultra marathon and further distances, things like Ultraman, which is pretty darn cool to see.
We should do an ultra, Josh.
So I truly do believe that I actually have a little bit more capability in me when it comes to that slow, methodical endurance world than I do some of the high pace 70.3 stuff. So we'll see, Fed. I think
when you turn 50, we can
yeah. Oh, yeah, when I get in the next age group, right? And then everyone gets faster again. It doesn't matter age groups anymore. I mean, these two ladies, 39 and 41, after 10K swims, Michelle's actually was just under 3 hours. Everyone else was well into the 3 hours. Jenna was about 17 minutes back at 3:16:49. And then they had pretty similar bikes off of that, 5:08, 5:08:59 for 8:15 first day. Day one, 8 hours and 15 minutes.
Day one.
Add another 7 hours and 50 something minutes to the bike on day two, followed by 13 hours of running on day three, for both of them breaking 24 hours and coming in 23 plus, which over 3 days.
I mean,
is it bad that this makes me want to do it more?
I think the longest swim I've ever done in my life, it's like 5Ks. Like, and I was done. Like, I just wanted a nap and a hot beverage after that. Imagine having to ride in a lot of food. Imagine having to swim double that and then hopping on the bike for another 3-hour bike ride in the Kona heat with the wind. My God, just
And there were a few of them that were 4.5 hours, 4:47, and these are the people that finished the entire race too. So I mean, right off the bat, you're 4.5 hours in coming out of the water.
Yeah. Especially that swim's destroyed me after 4K a couple times. Never mind.
That doesn't even win a full 70.3 anymore.
Yes, true. Yeah, man, that's crazy. Imagine being you just run the marathon and thinking to yourself, okay, now I'm halfway there. I just need another marathon to get.
I am definitely doing it one of these days. That 10K swim is the only thing that scares me, but outside of that, definitely gonna happen.
Josh and I could be ATP support crew, so that way we could live a little vicariously through you, and help you. Yeah, exactly. Excuse you, Hawaii, and help you.
There are other Ultramans too, so I think we got to find one of these Ultramans that is wetsuit eligible, because they're not all. This is the World Championships on Hawaii, so there are other locations that might be viable.
What if they still have the one in Canada? They did one in Penticton for years.
I think they might be.
Yeah. That one's hilly. Oof, that'd be a hard bike ride. There's no real flat around there.
How much riding is
not at all?
How much riding do you need to get done on day one after the swim? Like, is it like 100 miles? 90 miles.
90, yeah.
Okay, 90 miles.
Yeah. And then 171.4 day two.
Oh my God.
And then a double marathon on day 3.
Yeah. Shakeout.
Are you feeling good by then?
Shake. All the lactate's gone.
Yeah.
No,
Classic.
definitely incredible to see. That was such a cool performance and very cool to see some women crushing there. Like you said, Josh, some familiar names in the Ironman world that we've seen through the years. So cool to see that they're taking on some new adventures and challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got to see different parts of Kona that they've never seen either.
Yeah.
It's not just the regular Ironman course. They get to see the entire island for sure.
A lot more of it.
And that road, I mean, Jenna, you've been to Hawaii. Josh, you will be going to Hawaii very soon. But that road that goes to Hilo, there's so much wind and there's a lot of climbs and it's not an easy road. I probably the Queen K is the friendliest road to ride in Hawaii because some of that other part of the island gets very exposed and it's very into the elements. So yeah, kudos to everybody who raced Ultraman and finished it.
Man, very cool. Well, we'll jump into the What the F of the week here. So this weekend, we saw another familiar name, Joe Skipper. He switched up from triathlon, taking some downtime in the off season and chilling out, doing high rocks. So this definitely seems to be a trend that I think maybe he started among triathletes. I'm seeing it more and more here. So it's one of those events where you go between kind of strength exercises and sprints and go back and forth and back and forth. And what they do is they have set weights for each division of the event that you go into. And it's a balance between that strength and endurance. And definitely sounds like a lot of fun. That's something I'd love to, again, try. I just want to do all the races and fun stuff. But last year, Joe Skipper jumped into the pro, I guess, division of it, where the weights are heavier and it's longer. And he definitely sounded like he regretted that a little bit at the end of it, but he got it done and got through. But this year he went into the second division and had a massive improvement and sounds like he had a lot of fun with it. So it looks just like a cool event. They're in like this big stadium kind of setting and go in different heats and balance between the different exercises like pushing, pulling, and doing armor carriers and stuff. And it sounded like one of the things he struggled most with in the race was just having the grip strength to hold on to some of the weights, which is funny because you can get so strong like in your legs and core and everything else, but we're never holding on to anything or lifting that heavy stuff for any extended period of time. So definitely provided some challenges there. So well done to him, going faster than last year with lighter weights. So you'd hope you go faster. It sounds like he had some fun. Would you guys give one of these events a try?
Yeah, well, why not? I don't see why not. I mean, it'll be interesting for sure. And to get that competitive, spark to go. Yeah, definitely keen to try different things. But yeah, it's fun to see Joe doing different things during the off season and avoiding the water at all costs, just like us.
I think jumping in, the two of us should do it as a team. Like the duo team aspect of it too looks really intriguing, where one of you can have certain definite abilities to handle maybe the pull, the sled pull, and maybe one's better at the 1K sprints. Now you do have to get to each apparatus and do all of that stuff together, but if somebody's better at wall ball tosses and things like that, you can work it out between the two of you and have a good race. So I think all three of us could handle the race. Definitely not in the pro weights for sure. Even though I'm in my strength training build right now, I do not want to be doing that.
Right.
But it's certainly intriguing. We've had a few team members who've jumped into some recently as well, and it looks fun.
Yeah, it seems like they absolutely loved it. Just that switch up. Sometimes, we get so stuck into the swim, bike, run of it all. It's nice just to change stimulus, do something, get out of your comfort zone and feel like a newbie again. Like that is something that I think we take for granted when you've been in the sport for a long time. You just kind of go through the motion. So it's fun just to be completely out of your element and give something new a go.
Absolutely.
And still have the 1K sprint every time that you can kind of master.
Yeah,
1K
there you go.
That's the tough part. That'd be hard, just balancing out how hard you go on that run to still be able to breathe and not just be completely filled with lactate and just every muscle burning.
Not going completely hypoxic. So down here, there's probably the best mix of like a hybrid triathlon. And probably us three would do very well in it because, Jenna is a strength coach as well. Josh lifts. We all lift weights during the off season, and so this triathlon is a kayak, mountain bike, and trail run.
Amazing.
I think us three would do very well in this event because it's still in the water, but it's not completely dependent on our catch.
based.
And yeah, so kayak, mountain bike, run, I think we are up for a 1, 2, 3 podium.
Perfect. I've never ridden a mountain bike actually.
The confessions of a triathlete.
I didn't ride my first road bike until 2020. So I
Really?
started on a triathlon bike, and the only thing I had before then was like the Walmart bike when I was a kid. Started on triathlon bikes and wanted to do triathlon.
So you learned everything about being aero and everything before you knew about, going on the hoods and stuff like that.
I had no idea that it could be just comfortable, like sitting upright and stuff. For the longest time, I questioned why people wore like bicycle gloves.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why would you need these things? Like my hands just get sweaty in them. I'm just down in TT. And then I rode a road bike for a long period up and down some mountains and stuff. I'm like, oh,
yeah, that's why.
Yeah, now I get it. Yeah.
And then you see her on the road
awesome.
racing like the legends of the sport. So
with
progressed.
With Contador and Lance and all of those guys. Classic.
Yeah, got my butt kicked so many
Jenna.
times. Those tournaments. I tried to beat them with the beer drinking and the beer mile and stuff, and still got my butt kicked.
Speaking of Skipper,
there you go.
Right? Oh man, how he turns around and does those beer miles the day after an Ironman, like that would be painful. Seriously painful.
Yeah,
I'm still hobbling around at that point, but I guess maybe the beer helps take away some of the pain so that you're not feeling it as much.
Totally.
Well, moving on here, Josh, it sounds like you had some ideas for our triathlon tea this week. What's going on?
Well, I had some time because I actually got my workout in at a decent hour yesterday. So I was sitting, catching up on some YouTube while my wife was doing her workout last night, and caught a couple episodes that I thought people should, if you haven't seen. One is the Rich Roll interview with Kristian Blummenfelt. It's long, but worth it. And KBB will be going after the Olympics in 2028. I mean, it's nuts. He's like, I felt like my training wasn't on and we didn't hit the mark right on what we should have been doing plan-wise. So I feel like I can still prove to the world that we can come from Ironman back to the Olympic distance. So that's his mindset. And if he had won in Paris, he would be going for the tour, was the other takeaway from this interview. Listen to the whole thing. It's amazing. Rich is always great. He has some phenomenal guests on, but he and Kristian are both on athletes, so that relationship is pretty good between the two of them. The interview was done while Kristian was in New York City. They were both in New York for the marathon and doing some work with On at that pop-up shop that they had. So really cool interview. I'm on the Rich Roll podcast. And then I happened to catch the first ever Norwegian episode of Cribs and got to see what Gustav's house looked like. And I watched a whole bunch of other stuff, but these were the two I thought we talked about this. Like the two of them are just hilarious. And this was them individually. And Gustav slammed it. I mean, it was like he grew up watching MTV Cribs for sure. Trying to show off his old 100-year-plus house in Bergen.
Nice.
It was really cool if you haven't seen it. So yeah, definitely check that out.
That's awesome. But man, Blummenfelt going for the Olympics. So he's 30 now. So he'd be like 34 going into it, right? Like we've seen it tried a few times on the men's side. We had Macca tried to go from long to short. Alistair tried to go from long to short. Now Blummenfelt, no one's ever done it successfully, but man, Kristian could absolutely dominate the Ironman, like rank up those Ironman World Championships wins on Kona and stuff. But I don't think with how fast and how specialized both of them are, I don't think you can be at the top of either if you're trying to be at the top of both. It just seems like a bridge too far.
Yeah,
like
and he said he knew he was about 50 seconds off on the run from where he needed to be. With Alex and Hayden. So he knew a couple of weeks prior what he was up against, but he thought that with a little bit of a last minute push that they would be able to get there. And I think with everything,
all the track workouts at it at that point. I remember seeing it was just all speed.
Well, and then remember coming out of Paris, the panic training, and then I think they messed up with the altitude stuff, he said, so they'll probably change that up this year as he gets strictly into the Pro Series. Then the other piece was it too. Remember that he went and won Frankfurt handily. And so clearly the train, we're like, how the heck did he do that if he's coming off an Olympic block? And he's like, I think the volume was just too much. And we never were able to back it down into the high intensity stuff. My body was still ready for the long distance. And that's why I was able to do well in Frankfurt. So he felt like the training plan that they had in place just wasn't locked in the way it should be for the Olympic cycle. And they just mistimed things, and camps were dated wrong and things like that. So that's what he's got in his head. And I don't think anyone's going to take it out. He's literally giving up a shot at the Tour de France to go back for LA.
Well, and just like the Tour de France is one thing. I don't know that I ever believed he'd be anything other than a domestique in the Tour de France there.
Yeah.
That's hard to see. Like, just not even the fitness and stuff, but those pack dynamics, the being in those groups and stuff, like that takes years to really get confident in riding in those, and just the way they descend too. Like it's all next level, right? Again, you need to really specialize at something. You're looking at 5-6 years till you really get a handle on that. And by that time, he's 35, 36, and that's old in the Tour de France, really.
Well, and that's the thing here.
When you get 23, 24.
He's not going to be able to do it after LA. I mean, like this was his window, right? And so, I mean, was it better in your eyes that he actually lost in Paris and now has to continue to be a triathlete? And that's probably where he belongs anyways, which we all feel. So it's like, maybe the best thing that happened to him was losing in Paris.
Man, but I love him, and he's so good and so fun to watch and stuff. He should just, like, he could leave a legacy at the Ironman distance. Like, he really, really could. And it feels like he's giving that up to chase this. Yeah. Maybe shot at the Olympics kind of deal. It'd be cool to see him really go all in and dominate things like 100 and the Ironman Pro Series and stuff.
So he's going to do that for 2 years. Like, he'll be on an Ironman Kona build for 2 years. Like, that's literally like whatever he'll go through Nice. But Kona is all he's thinking about for the next 2 years.
Totally.
And he gets one Kona win, maybe, and then
right into the Olympic bit the right way this time.
You know, Olympic build, then you're yeah,
crazy.
Well, you know, never count KB out, because this guy has definitely seemed superhuman at points, and they put everything into it. All of the research, the data, the science, testing themselves as well. So it'll be a fun journey to watch to see where he gets in that endeavor too. And you know what? Never boring with him.
No, and you can see a lot of that interview too. They talk like a lot of it is they want to prove to people that the Norwegian method is actually still the way to do it, or it's still viable. And it hurt them to have the performance he had in Kona, especially.
You know who else it hurt was it Brad Culp? Is he the one who wrote the Norwegian method book? Right before a year where the Norwegians didn't have a great year in there. So that's gotta be a tough hit. You're like, okay, this is the next thing that everyone's talking about. They're winning everything. And then as soon as the book is published, they don't really win anything.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I don't want to take away too much there, but he said they probably shouldn't have done a second altitude camp and things like that. So there's a lot of things that they could tweak. And I mean, look, he won Frankfurt. And before Frankfurt, nobody had him on their minds for Kona really 100%. This year, right?
Yeah.
And then he wins Frankfurt. It's like, all right, now he's the favorite.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to take him off our list of, we don't trust him.
Anything. Yeah.
One thing,
you never know.
One thing I've learned about us triathlete people is we have such a short memory. Like any other
goldfish.
sports, we're like goldfish. We tend to, I mean, because I know where it comes from, because you build fitness, and then the fitness that you have right now, it's more factor for what your next race. But then again, if you haven't been able to perform to the best of your ability during the season, or if you're coming from short course to long course, it takes a process and a while to adapt. So this thing with Kristian, I think we all jumped into the bandwagon of, oh yeah, he's Kristian Blummenfelt, he's going to dominate Kona. And we've totally forgot about people who have been doing, Patrick Lange, who kept his mouth very quiet, grinding it out. And he looked confident in Kona. He knew nobody was going to beat him on the run. He knew he had been working on the TT bike and the position and everything. Even if he has a very rocky TT riding style, it works for him because he's like a tiny, tiny little man, and he just touched through the wind. But yeah, I think out of, from most sports, people tend to respect legacy a bit more than us triathletes. We, like you said, we're like goldfish, and the guy that won the last weekend, we think that's a favorite for the world championship, and oftentimes it's not usually like that.
And I think we've seen with triathlon, because it is so all in and anything can happen in there, good or bad. So we see a lot of burnout, a lot of injuries, a lot of people are off the world and then gone the next second in there, or they finally put it all together and get nutrition right after years of mediocre results kind of thing. It definitely is a sport that moves very, very quickly. And then you have someone jump in who dials in their arrow position, all of a sudden they're ahead kind of things. I think the sport just moves so quickly and it's so changing. We've got so many different series and world championships now. It's just, we're being bombarded with all this stuff all the time. And it's on to the next shiny star who's going to be beat up. And it's made it a lot more interesting though, because there's no, other than Taylor Knibb, there's no like dominant racers across every distance. Taylor Knibb is an incredible standout this year, but everywhere else we've seen it just mixed up across all of the series and within each series, which has been fun to see.
Yeah. It'll be interesting now that you mentioned that too, with the up and comers, and obviously with Martin now potentially having to do another Ironman to get his knee slot. So there's 2 Ironmans that he's going to have on his calendar in the Pro Series next year. We know he likes to hop into a 70.3 here and there as well. So it's like, all of a sudden, Martin Villarreal could be in the Pro Series and the T100 next year.
Do a Cat Matthews.
There you go. You heard it here first. That's my prediction.
There we go. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what he does next year, because it gets harder to get in an Ironman if there's going to be more races with the T100 and more contract obligations there. But man, when you're feeling good and everything's clicking, it's hard not to go for both of them.
Totally.
I think that'll wrap us up for this week, guys. Thank you, as always, for joining me. And definitely don't miss next week's episode, where we will have one of the foremost experts and coaches in triathlon, David Tilbury-Davis, jumping on here to help us run down what's going to go down at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. But until then, have a great night, guys.
Thank you,
Have a good one.
Yes.